Why is mainstream media ignoring obvious inconsistencies in possible efforts to undermine election results in North Carolina? It's been more than a month since the presidential election in November, and some of the election results in North Carolina still are being questioned by Republicans who lost. Even after ballot recounts confirmed Democrats won, here's what's going on. In North Carolina, Democrats won the governor's race. Democrats won the lieutenant governor's race. Democrats won the attorney general's race. Democrats won the superintendent of instruction's race. Democrats won the secretary of state's race. Democrats won the state Supreme Court's race. Recounts have confirmed those wins, but Jefferson Griffin, the Republican candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court, just won't let it go that he has lost to Democrat Allison Riggs. Let's take a look. There's the Republican candidate on the right, and there's Allison Griggs, the Democratic candidate on the left. If you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. Now, on election night, Griffin on the right, the Republican, he was ahead until late results, late returns, and absentee votes put Democrat Riggs on the left ahead by about 60,000 votes. It's a candidate's right to ask for a recount. So no problem there. But at this point, North Carolina has completed its second recount at the request of loser Griffin. And still, the Democrat has won. But before the state officially calls the vote for Justice Allison Riggs, now the loser has filed over 300 petitions to, among other things, get ballots thrown out saying that one, voters were not eligible to cast votes in the election. Two, that he's questioning their confirmed citizenship status. And three, claiming that the state election board took too much time counting the late votes and absentee votes to begin with, and that violates his right to a speedy election result. Yada, yada, yada. Essentially, he's throwing everything against the wall and seeing what will stick. If you live in North Carolina or you know anybody who lives in North Carolina, make sure they are keeping up with what's going on in this election, because that's what's going on in North Carolina. Now, this is a judge who is just trying to bend the law to gain favor so he can sit on the bench and pass judgment over other people's legal issues. Make it make sense. You can't, because it doesn't. Now, never mind that if he is successful at overturning this legal election, his efforts would essentially disenfranchise eligible voters over issues that, one, existed before the election, and two, if they are legitimate, they should have been addressed way before this sore loser loss. This has been another 11th hour or after the fact tactic that Republicans use, not just in North Carolina, but all over the country. I used to live in North Carolina, so that's why I kind of care about what's going on there. When Republicans lose, they have all the energy in the world to question results way past what's reasonable. But when they win, the inconsistencies don't matter to them. Take this, for example. As I said at the top, in North Carolina, the Democrats won the governor's race. They won the lieutenant governor's race. They won the attorney general's race. They won the superintendent of education's race. They won the secretary of state's race. And that state Supreme Court race, they won that as well. How is it that North Carolina voters who supported all Democrats in all those statewide elections turned around and voted for Donald Trump for president, when his views were polar opposite of what these Democrats stood for? Well, that's because none of those voters cast a ballot for Trump. This is according to post-election data. So pay attention. Now, according to the post-election data, all these voters who supported Democrats for statewide office also voted for Kamala Harris. But Trump won in North Carolina. How is that possible? Post-election data show that the Trump Vance ticket beat the Harris Walz ticket by 189,000 votes. But none of the people who voted for Trump Vance bothered to cast a ballot for any other state election. None. So all those people who voted for Trump didn't vote for anyone else running for anything else in this election last month. I find that strange. They just showed up, cast a ballot for the president, and then walked away from the polls. It's a strange phenomenon, but the Republicans who demanded recounts for their statewide landslide losses, they accepted that Trump won by just 189,000 votes from people who didn't bother to vote for anyone else. Now, if voter fraud is really their concern, shouldn't they be questioning that inconsistency? It's another example of how every vote counts or every vote should count. If you know anybody who lives in North Carolina or you live in North Kakalaki yourself, you should be concerned. They should be concerned because this North Carolina Supreme Court issue is just as important as the Supreme Court of the United States issue is to the rest of the people in the country. And we need to know who's on these benches. We need to know who's a part of these courts because they are making decisions that affect your lives and the lives of your children for generations to come. So it's very important that we keep up with what's going on. So if you know anyone there in North Carolina or you live there, be sure to keep up with that. Ask questions and also ask your local news outlets why they're not really paying that much attention to what is going on. This needs to be front page news, but it's not front page mainstream media news. Now, maybe it might be in North Carolina, but I'm sure that the rest of us, because North Carolina was one of those key states in this past election, we would like to know what's going on. And there are a couple of other states that had this phenomenon going on. Michigan, Wisconsin, these are some of the key states where Democrats won key elections, but Donald Trump ended up winning overall. And with this polar opposite of stances on different issues, it just seems kind of odd that it would go down that way. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy or anything. I'm just saying people should be asking questions or at least paying attention to what's being said and what's being not said. That's all I have for you today. To find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to the written version of my journal. That's at eurweb.com. Thank you so much and have a super day.